All right, here we go. Okay, today we are talking about not a Red Wing heritage boot, but a Red Wing work boot. So I went over to the work side to find the Red Wing 1178 Pecos. All right, still available. If you're looking for it, it may take you some time because they are made to order. I went to a Red Wing. They do sell a little bit of heritage, but it's mostly work. Shop in Brooklyn, and first I called them to see if they had the 1178. They did not have it, so they ordered it in my size. Well, was supposed to be in my size, but it was a 9 triple E, which was way too big. They put an insert in, which could have worked, but I couldn't leave the store with a 9 triple E because I know how the leather stretches, and I know that eventually it's just not going to look right. So they ended up tracking down a 9E for me in Texas. So here it is, the Red Wing 1178 in 9E, and this is the beautiful Pecos 1178. Now, let me start off. So normally when I do a review, I usually don't wear the boot. It's usually just straight out of the box, and I do the on feet, and it's all like, you're seeing it, I'm putting it on as is. But I was quite excited to, number one, see how closely these were to the heritage Pecos that I have, the 8188, the 8844, you know, the list goes on and on and on. And they're very similar. They fit exactly the same, 9E across the board in all Pecos. So I have worn these already to break them in because I was excited about doing that. And being that they are part of the work line, they are instantly comfortable because work boots, they know you're going to be on your feet for 8 hours plus. So that in itself is a huge plus going from heritage to work, because the work line understands you're on your feet and you want something comfortable. Now, if you're going on the heritage side, traction tread, super sole on the heritage side, extremely comfortable. Speaking of super sole, there are quite a bit of Pecos with the super sole available on the work side. There's a briar leather Pecos with the super sole, and I believe the same as this. This is called brown boomer, and I believe there's a brown boomer, and there's one that kind of looks like a Oro, but they call it something, they call it briar something, and then they call the Oro one, or the Oro looking one, they call it something else. They don't give it the exact name as the heritage, but I think it's pretty similar. If it's not, like, if you're looking at the hide, if it's not cut from the same part as the briar oil slick, it's cut from a different part, and then they just call it, you know, something different. As you see behind me, I have the lineman in brown boomer. I have the 9161, which is in brown boomer, and then I have, as a comparison, the 8111 in amber harness. So for me, they're all quite similar, the brown boomer and the amber harness. Those, I think, are also maybe from the same hide, just a different cut, and they just call it something, you know, different. So I have these as a comparison that we'll do, and I know it may be a little tricky with the artificial lighting versus doing natural lighting. And also, I've treated all the boots behind me, and these have not been treated, so that will also have an effect on the comparison. Okay, today I am wearing the cousin to this boot, which is the 1188 in the Albaline. Hawthorne Abilene. And this is one of those Pecos that could easily have transitioned to heritage, but stayed on the work side. So the brother to this one. So let's say this 1178 lives in Dallas, and his brother, the 1155, lives in El Paso. All right, and then maybe the 1188, the 1188 lives in Abilene. There you go. But it's a cousin. It's the cousin. Those are all on the work line. You can get the 1155 and the 1180, the 1155 and the 1178. Currently, the 1188 is discontinued. You can't get those. You can probably find them on eBay. Those will be a little bit harder to track down. But if you go to your local Red Wing store, you can order 1178, 1155 with the stacked heel in your size. It may take, and the cool thing is, since it's a work line, you can get triple E, whatever, you have those really wide feet, you can get something that will fit just perfectly for you. They'll probably size you and let you know exactly what you need. So that is where we're going today. We're on the work side. All right, so let's take a closer look at the 1178. All right, so before I get into the details on the Red Wing 1178 Nailseat Pecos, I wanted to give a quick update on the Lucchese Buffalo antique brown boots that I own. So these arrived right before I was going to take a quick trip to Indiana, and I wanted to take these to break them in, as I had said, because I was really excited about it. But what I ended up doing is I took my Lucchese here, and I remember when I did the review, I said I really just wanted to like beat these up, and so I took these on the trip to Indiana. It was 4 days, 4.5 days, 4 days. Wore them every day, even though you're not really supposed to wear a boot. You shouldn't wear a boot every day. You should let the leather air out. Wear 8 hours, let it dry for the next day. But I really wanted to, get that leather to get a nice break in and crack and all that good stuff. So this is an update on how they look now after 4 or 5 days straight wear. Even I got them wet, actually pretty damp. I was playing around with cleaning a pool, and the runoff from the net got water all over these. So I was really trying to put these through it. And so here's a nice update of how they are looking now. Got some nice creases in them, that buffalo, and looking forward to breaking these in even more. I have to say, I'm a huge fan. I really like these. And what I will say about this leather, this buffalo versus the brown boomer, is this is kind of what I was looking for and hoping these would look like. So they didn't have that finish, you see how that shine is on there. I really didn't like that dress finish. I like these a lot, but I feel like this dress finish limits how I style them versus like this one, where it's just like a matte kind of finish. Being that it is, yes, on the work side, and you wouldn't have a high finish on a work boot. So I understand that, but I was kind of looking for a Lucchese leather that was matte and not so high shine finished, dressy, but still love them. They still get lots of time on my feet. Okay, so on to the 1178 details. This is the Nailseat Pecos. We have the Goodyear welt on this bad boy. So this one is 11 inches versus let me take off the 1188 that I'm wearing, and I'll show you. So if you get an 81, 88, Pecos. This is basically the same height, so you can see it's a much shorter. I think they call this one 9. I think they call this 9 inches, and then they call this 11 inches. So you can see the difference in the height there between the two. But this is like a standard. If you were to find any kind of the Heritage Pecos, it's going to be this last and 9, usually 9 inches. And I know probably the Red Wing collab with Eat Dust. That in the Oro, that was an 11-inch boot. That wasn't a 9 like the other Pecos, Heritage Pecos that you may find. So put that back on. Back to the details. This is made on the 17 last, like the 1188, the 8188, the 8844, the 8169. They're all made on the 17 last. Now the 1155 is made on the 72 last. So that, I think what I've heard, I don't have anything on the 72 last, but what I've heard that it is very similar. So if I would be a 9E on that last as well, is what I was told by someone who owns the 1155. Now, steel shank in this boot. This has the nitrile cork, which you know is one of my faves. Made in the USA. Not all work boots that Red Wing makes are made in the USA. These are made in the USA. And this has the pour-on insole, which makes the boot extremely comfortable. Now, I went on probably a 5-mile walk yesterday with these. At the end, yes, my feet were they were hurting, but the pour-on sole, if it didn't have that pour-on insole, it probably would have been much worse. But granted, 5 miles walking around New York City would probably do anybody in, unless you were wearing some really, really comfortable sneakers, and even then your back would probably start to hurt just from walking that much. But I really wanted to put these on and start to see some creases and break them in, and have the insole shaped to my foot. So that was my desire. As soon as I pulled these out of the box, I really just wanted to like get these nice and scuffed and beat up, because I've seen some images online of these worn in, and they look really good. And so now let's compare the, let's see, let's start off with the Iron Ranger 8111. So now it's a little bit unfair because these have been treated with boot oil and mink oil. They're starting to get a nice little patina on them. But just a quick comparison of the amber harness and the brown boomer leather, which, like I said, if these weren't treated and I pulled an 8111 off the shelf, they'd probably look very much like this. For example, thinking of the Rover in the amber harness, I feel like it looks a lot like this boot here. Now let's grab the 9161. Again, these have also been treated with boot oil. So you can tell here the difference there. These 9161 are darker after having been treated. I've probably put maybe 3 or 4 coats of boot oil on these, but just to show a comparison. And then I know, being that this is artificial lighting, it makes it a bit harder to tell versus the natural daylight. And last, let's pick up the linemen. Now these, I honestly don't know if I've treated, I can't remember if I treated these or not. I have actually maybe just worn these once. I mean, you look at the sole, and I really haven't worn these much, because the weather, the last winter was pretty mild, so I really didn't need to wear a lug sole in the winter. But you can see how dark, now this is brown boomer, and you see how much darker this is versus this brown boomer leather. And so I maybe I treated this. Honestly, I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't remember if I did or not. But you can see here in this lighting, and looking at holding my hands, looking down, the lineman is much darker than the 1178. I kind of like this color more, and I'm usually, when I get a boot, I kind of will throw on some kind of either leather cream or boot oil, because I know that it's been sitting, but I want to let these go a little bit before I do anything conditioned in any way. But yeah, you can see the difference there. And I'm going to do a close-up so you can see this leather here, the creases that have started to form on here. Some of the creasing that's starting to happen now after having spent, I don't know how many hours yesterday walking, doing 5 miles, just walking all over the city. Starting to form to my foot, which is nice. So like, as you do know, that I do have some faves that I will grab before I walk out the door, and these have since they arrived have been at the door and just slipping on and wanting to get that break-in happening much faster than some of the, say for example, these these have been on the bottom of the closet and not really worn, and then these also have been at the front, thrown on, and I'm wanting to get that leather creased and cracked and all that broken in. So I do have my faves that I will rotate and try and find time for more than others, but very happy to now add the 1178 Nailseat to the collection. All right, let's do the on feet. That is the Red Wing 1178 Nailseat Pecos in brown boomer. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, be a boot. See you guys next time. We have an update on the phone gate.
I got a phone. Whoop whoop. Thank you so much for the support on hashtag Get Paloma Phone, and remember, be a boot.
So she has it. It's all good. No more comments. All right. See you guys later. Be a boot.